Okay, so thanks everyone for joining for our second breakout session today for using social media to lobby Congress and convince your neighbors to take action. So I'm Ashley Hunt Martirano, and I started with CCL in 2012 when I co-founded the Long Island, New York chapter after Superstorm Sandy. I have a background in psychology, political science, and environmental nonprofit management, and I started working for CCL in 2015 as the National Events and Marketing Manager. And now I focus solely on being CCL's marketing and brand manager, where I ensure that organizational character that inspired me to join CCL is evident in everything that we do, from print to digital resources to our CCL social media, including Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. And very soon we're going to add TikTok to that. I also oversee the production and creation of our video content on social media. CCL is on all of the major social media networks that are out there. So the primary three for us are Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We're also on LinkedIn. And like I mentioned, we're going to be launching a TikTok account in the new year. So you can stay tuned for that. So as you know, we focus our organizing efforts on the 5 levers of political will. That's kind of how we organize a lot of the actions we take here at CCL. And so those levers, to refresh your memory, are lobbying, media, grassroots outreach, grass tops engagement, and group development. So it's important to remember that we use different social media platforms for different kinds of communication and purposes. So as you can see from this grid here, Twitter is best for the levers of lobbying, where members of Congress are most active and vocal, as well as the levers of grass tops engagement, so like businesses or other influencers, and media. Facebook, though, is better for grassroots outreach, chapter development, and a little bit useful for lobbying. There is one feature we'll get into with Facebook and lobbying and how effective that is. And then for Instagram, it's best for grassroots outreach and lobbying, and then grass tops engagement or influencers. So really what I challenge you to do is to consider what lever you'd like to pull on with your social media action, the use you have of social media, what platforms you're on. Consider this matrix and think about what your goals are with your activism on social media, and then think about where you actually have accounts, and then use that to help direct your actions. And we're not suggesting that you need to be on every single platform. So we're never trying to make your jobs as volunteers harder by saying you should be on all of the platforms that there are. We're just letting you know what are the most impactful actions you can take on individual platforms. So with all of this in mind, today we're going to talk about lobbying on Twitter and Instagram, and grassroots outreach on Facebook and Instagram. So social media is a popular way for elected officials to communicate with constituents. So this data is from 2019, which, we're in a very virtual world right now with COVID. So this is kind of outdated data at this point. But as of last year, 99% of the House and 100% of the Senate had posted on Facebook and Twitter. And then 80% of the House and 73% of the Senate have posted on Instagram. So you can see that members of Congress are using social media to communicate with you, their constituents. The most popular social media networks worldwide from this chart, this is from this year. It shows that just like what we found out with our little survey we did internally, Facebook was the most popular. Instagram is actually one of the fastest growing social media platforms out there. It's actually 3 times more popular than Twitter. And it's a great place to reach out to a younger audience. TikTok is rising quickly. And like I said, CCL has plans to launch a TikTok channel in 2021. And that is really the platform where a lot of young people are engaging in really creative ways. So if there are any younger folks on the webinar today, I know 8% of you are on TikTok, so that's 12 people. I'd be happy to have you help us with our TikTok strategy and efforts in the new year. So you can reach out to me. I'll have my email on the screen at the end of the presentation, and you can get involved with us in helping with TikTok if you'd like. So many members of Congress have 2 accounts per platform. This is really important to know. One is their official government account, and the other is their campaign or re-election account. And so on the screen, I've got Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and you can see the top one is her campaign account. And the reason I know that is because that's the account she had first, and it has 6.7 million followers. These are her Instagram accounts. And then once she actually was elected and then started and was sworn in to be a representative, she had to create a government account to manage her government information that she is handling. And so she has to be careful in which she posts on one platform versus another. And that's how it is for all members of Congress. So you want to be paying attention when you're following your member of Congress, that you're actually following their government account where you're going to be interacting with them and asking them to sponsor bills, because that's the account that they would want you to reach out to them about for official government activities. Now, if they're posting about climate change on their campaign account, that's another great place to reach them as well. But it's really important to be lobbying them on their official government account, because that's where you're going to get the most staffers engaging with you. So a note about YouTube, I don't have anything else except for this slide about YouTube, but I just wanted to say that most members of Congress also have a YouTube account, and they have one for their campaign and they have one for their government office. And they regularly post videos there from their floor speeches, or maybe if they did broadcast media interviews. So while it's not as much engaging or interactive as other social media platforms can be, YouTube is a great place to do research on your member of Congress and find out what things are important to them. So the Congressional Management Foundation is a nonprofit organization that really has insider access and info on all the members of Congress and their staff on Capitol Hill. And they've done surveys for years of Capitol Hill staffers. And so recently they did a social media survey, and they found that staffers generally feel social media has improved relationships between constituents and Congress. So 76% of the staffers on Capitol Hill that participated in CMF's survey agree or strongly agree with the statement, social media enabled us to have a more meaningful interaction with constituents. And nearly as many, 70%, agreed that social media has made members or senators more accountable to constituents. So the staffers themselves see the benefit in using social media as a communication tool to help them and their boss get work done for their constituents. 80% of staffers said fewer than 30 comments, something like 10 comments on a similar topic, were enough for the office to pay attention. This is a big deal to know. So surely most of our chapters of CCL can work together and organize efforts to get 10 to 20 constituents to post on a social media post to get their attention of their member of Congress on climate change. So getting 10 to 20 people to comment or post about a particular issue about climate change can have an impact. And we've heard that about phone calls too, and that's why we just did a Call Congress Day. So very importantly though, members of Congress and staffers generally do not feel that social media posts provide enough information for them to identify constituents. So you have to help them out here. Every time you comment or tag your member of Congress in a post, make sure you say something like, I'm a constituent from, and then you list your city, so that they know that they should pay attention to your comment because you are actually somebody that can vote for them or vote against them. So find and follow your representative and senators on the platforms you use. Members of Congress are most interactive on Twitter and Instagram, and you can use Facebook and YouTube as well to round out your research. Interact with your members of Congress by leaving positive comments on their posts and encouraging and thanking them when they speak up about climate. Ask your chapter members and friends and family to leave positive comments on climate posts too. The more engagement members of Congress see on their posts about climate change, the more likely they are to continue posting on that topic and then potentially to start voting on that topic in a positive way. You can post your own content and tag your members of Congress in photos of climate-related actions you're taking, so maybe your virtual meetings or climate impacts in your area, so wildfires or hurricanes. And then, of course, use social media to research your members of Congress's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube accounts. So who do they share photos of themselves or videos of themselves with? What groups do they want to be seen with? What events do they have coming up? They'll usually post those on social media. And who do they follow or tag in their posts? These are all indicators to you on who's important to them, who persuades them to vote in particular ways. And it might give you some ideas for who you should get to be endorsers for the bill so that it can influence their decision as to whether they're going to co-sponsor the bill. Here's some good examples I'm going to show you in the next couple of slides of some things we've seen on Twitter and Instagram from our volunteer accounts. So you can see the Silver Spring Tacoma Park chapter on Twitter posted. They had a great turnout for today's meeting. This was prior to COVID, of course. Look at everyone getting ready for our next lobby day with @Rep Raskin. I heart our volunteers, #Grassroots Climate. So I'm going to point out a couple things I love about this tweet. First of all, they tagged their representative @Rep Raskin. So that's really important because it means that office got a notification on Twitter that they were tagged in a post. So their staff saw this. They also use #Grassroots Climate, which is one of our preferred hashtags that we recommend chapters using. So that was a great tweet that we love. And this is a good example on Instagram. So this CCL Virginia chapter account said a big thank you to @Rep Don Beyer for meeting with the Alexandria Arlington CCL chapter on Friday. We appreciate all your leadership on environmental justice. And so this is a great picture with the member of Congress in the bottom there. And they tagged the member of Congress on Instagram. So again, the staff got a notification on Instagram. And then in some cases, when members of Congress see things like this come up on their feed, they will share these posts to their own feed. So it's a great opportunity for them to show that they're collaborating with CCL. So I mentioned we would go over one quick thing on lobbying on Facebook, and that's what this slide is about. So this is at facebook.com/townhall. And what you can do when you go there is you can enter your address. You can see I circled in the middle of the screen there. It says your address, and you can put in your street address, and they don't publicize that. It's protected by your privacy settings. But what they do is they use your street address to find out who your elected officials are. And then it says, do you want to follow these elected officials? And you can see in the middle screen there that I'm following my Congressman Lee Zeldin, and I'm following my senators Kirsten Gillibrand and Chuck Schumer. And it actually goes to like the presidential level, and then it goes down to your state elected officials. And so Facebook has this really great interactive feature where you can find out who your elected officials are and connect with their social media accounts. And then on the bottom left, you can see that I typed the comment, type a comment and see your badge. If you've turned on constituent badges, you can see that little tiny black circle that has like the government building, the little pillars there. That's a constituent badge. And so when I comment on Lee Zeldin or Kirsten Gillibrand or Chuck Schumer's Facebook accounts, when I comment on their posts that they make there, it'll show up that I'm a constituent. So they know that I'm a voter of theirs and they should listen to what I have to say. So that's a really great tool that Facebook has that I recommend turning on if you're interested. So as we wrap up the lobbying part of our social media conversation today, here's your homework. So if you want to start lobbying your members of Congress on social media, make sure you follow them on the platforms that you use. Like and comment and share their content that talks about climate. Make a post about your climate efforts or your CCL meetings or anything that you've got going on locally and tag a member of Congress in it. Organize your volunteers to all post or tag your members of Congress on the same day in a concerted effort. So think about it like a Call Congress Day, which we had on Thursday. But instead of being calling Congress, it's all on social media. And so you're all going and tagging your member of Congress on Twitter or on Instagram. And if you're doing that, don't forget to tag Citizens Climate Lobby in your tweets or your Instagram posts so that we can share your content to our official streams as well. So now I want to jump over to this grassroots outreach, or how to convince your neighbors to take action on climate change. So I want to talk about Facebook and Instagram because those are the best platforms to use for grassroots outreach. Facebook is a great place to create events when you have ongoing outreach activities like monthly meetings, even if they're virtual right now because of COVID. So for example, here you can see for our Call Congress Day, we had 2,200 people that got invited to participate in this event. And we had 219 say they were interested and 187 say they were going. And each of those 2,200 people got a notification on that day because they were invited to attend this Facebook event. And so they got, in addition to the email or the text message we might have sent, or that they might have seen our social media posts about it, they also got a notification. Facebook is really the most powerful tool when it comes to event organizing on social media platforms. There's no other social media platform that can outperform Facebook right now with events. On your chapter's social channels or even on your own accounts, it's important for you to post photos and videos of volunteers taking action. And that's a great way to recruit new members. So take pictures or videos of tabling events or lobby meetings or your Zoom meetings and use the hashtag Grassroots Climate. Before someone joins CCL, they want to know what it is that volunteers that are part of CCL do. They want to know, how do you interact with folks and what actions do you take? And you want to tell that story on your social media platforms. You want to give folks that follow you an idea of what it is they would do if they joined. So you want to give them small baby steps of actions they can take. You want them to have a sense of fulfillment that they did something meaningful, and then maybe they'll take the next step and the next step and get more and more involved. So share photos and videos of activities your volunteers are doing so other people can envision themselves doing that too. And share interesting content from CCL's national Facebook page to start conversations with your friends and followers. So we spend a lot of time creating great content to share our channels. We invest in creating a strong brand with our colors, our designs, our fonts, but also with our tone and our values being front and forward. So please share our content. Our intention is for you to be creating an interactive and shareable stuff so that you're not reinventing the wheel all the time. And it's helpful for us when you share the content that we have. So here's an example of a tweet from the Dallas-Fort Worth chapter of an outreach event that they did, and they used the hashtag Grassroots Climate again. And then here's a great call to action by our youth action team asking young people to join to sign up to lobby their members of Congress. I love this picture because it shows a lot of smiling faces. There's a lot of diversity in this picture. And they're young people. And this is getting posted on Instagram where the audience is younger on average. So it's great to see things like that. But Instagram has a great, Instagram stories are great. I really love when our volunteers are sharing on Instagram and tagging us in their stories so then we can share their stories.
Bipartisan solutions to climate change, like a carbon fee and dividend, and they make actual grassroots support for these politicians so that they don't have to fear being reelected when they choose to take action on climate and really show leadership on.
And so you can see we've got lots of things that people were sharing on Call Congress Day. And when they shared it and they tagged Citizens Climate on Instagram stories, then we were able to share it to our feed, and people were able to see other people across the country, other organizations across the country were involved in this Call Congress action. So I really recommend Instagram stories. You can do fun polls with it. So definitely if you're on Instagram, learn how to use stories. And one thing I will say is that we have some training videos on Instagram, on community, where you can get involved on Instagram and have more support from CCL on that. So we've recorded training videos. They're available on community, and you can access them by searching for social media on community. So as I mentioned, we don't want you reinventing the wheel. So we have this great newish opportunity available of Canva templates. So a lot of volunteers are already using Canva to design graphics, and we created hundreds of different kinds of templates where you can just go and access these templates. You can customize them. You can change the pictures. You can change the words. You can change the fonts. You can change all sorts of things. And these were professionally designed by one of our volunteer group leaders, Brianna Cook, who is part of the Dallas-Fort Worth chapter. And we paid for these to be designed. So, you know, we really invested in these resources, and we want them to be available to you. We want your chapters to be able to use them to help increase your grassroots outreach efforts. So you can go and access these templates on community. The short URL to get there is cclusa.org/Canva templates. The first thing you got to do is decide what size you need. So where are you going to be posting these, because they're grouped by sizes. So if you want to create the same graphic and post it on 3 different platforms, unfortunately, you do have to go and create 3 different graphics. But it's pretty quick and pretty easy to use. We even have a template for chapter logos, so you can customize your own chapter logo for your social media accounts. So I'm going to open it up to Q&A in just a moment, but I want to just mention one last thing about respect, appreciation, and gratitude. So it's important to take what we apply to interacting with members of Congress and interacting with the public to our engagement on social media as well. So if you are engaging in a conversation on social media, I recommend you follow those same guiding principles there. As chapters, we recommend that you use social media to augment the other activities you're already doing to make them more effective. So consider appointing a person to be responsible for your social media efforts as a chapter. I really recommend appointing a younger person to be in charge of that. I mean, they're already good at social media, and it's a great way for them to stay engaged with your chapter, and it's a good way for them to take up leadership in your chapter. So I do recommend that you have a couple folks in charge of your social media so that it's not just one person. To help you be successful with your social media activities, we have a social media action team. And as part of this team, you'll have opportunities to help with strategic efforts such as posting supportive comments to members of Congress who are speaking up about climate change or taking action. And you'll have other rapid response action opportunities, such as when articles come out about CCL or we have new social media content that we want you to help spread around the internet for us. So the team is also a place to get reminders and ideas about what your chapter can be posting on your social media accounts. And it's a great place where members can ask each other questions, and you can also ask staff questions because Flannery Winchester, our communications director, and myself are the action team leaders for that action team. And here's how you can join us in the action team, cclusa.org/CCL social. And make sure you answer the screening questions so that we'll approve you. It's basically how we know you're a real CCL volunteer and not a bot. Okay, so recruit a volunteer or several to oversee and manage your chapter social media account. It's good for younger members who maybe can't attend every meeting, but they can be involved in that way by doing social media. I recommend having 2 or 3 people as backup. And then you can get likes and invite volunteers and friends to follow. And then this is super important. Make social media part of your meeting agenda on your monthly meetings. So make sure that every single time you have a monthly meeting or a committee meeting for CCL, that you are doing something on social media and you're talking about what your actions are on social media. Just one last thing. We are currently doing an audit of our chapter social media accounts. And so we have a survey which is posted in community and in the social media action team Facebook group where we ask you to input your social media account URLs and who the volunteer admins are. We don't make that information public about who the volunteer admins are, but we just want to know in our database so that we can help. We're collecting this information so that we can help improve the chapter social media presence for all of you out there. And we also just want to know how to communicate with all of you in case we have some big efforts underway where we can collaborate and communicate across the board. So again, that link is in the social media action team Facebook group and also on community. So there's my email. And again, there is the short URL for joining the social media action team. I hope that you will join us. And if you have any questions, you can email me if we don't have time for all of the questions, but I will hand it over to Tammy. If you want to read any of the questions that are coming up in the chat, I will be happy to answer. I think we have time for maybe 2 right now.
Yeah, great. One of the recurring questions was, what advantages does social media have as compared to the email or calling a member of Congress?
Sure. So that's a great question. If you can get several different volunteers to comment about climate change on the same post, that will elevate it. So it'll be just like if a bunch of you called on the same day or if a bunch of you emailed on the same day. So if you're getting trickling like one email every couple of weeks, as a member of Congress, you're probably not going to pay attention to that issue as much. But if you're getting a bunch of emails at once or a bunch of phone calls at once, you're going to pay attention. The same thing applies to social media. If you're getting a bunch of people tagging you about climate change in their Instagram posts, that will have an impact. If your member of Congress posts something about climate change on their social media, and then you go and comment on their social media, that will have a huge influence on them wanting to continue to post on that topic. So they'll probably get some climate deniers saying not so nice things about the fact that they posted something on social media. So it really would be your job to just counteract that and to provide some positive reinforcement, throw them some dog biscuits, to encourage them to keep talking about climate change. So they really do respond to social media posts. And sometimes they actually will go in and reply. Great. I'm glad that I've convinced a lot of you that this is a meaningful way to do this. We have other presentations on community that dive more deeply into this. This was a short presentation today, but we've got a lot of resources, and please join the social media action team. Thanks for joining us today, guys.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Citizens Climate Lobby's training program. You can tune into more episodes anywhere podcasts are available. Inspired by what you heard today? Join Citizens Climate Lobby to advocate for bipartisan climate solutions. Go to community.citizensclimate.org to find more trainings, resources, your local chapter, national action teams, discussion forums, and more. Be sure to like our Facebook page and follow us on Twitter and Instagram @CitizensClimate. We also invite all of our listeners to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more inspiration. And together, we are creating the political will for a livable world.